My experience is that a lot of people nominally trying to be more spiritual can get into a sort of a schoolyard game of what dimensions is this from? The trigger to me doing this ramble is seeing yet another ad claiming that what it was pushing came from the fifth dimension. Now, it's possible that it came from a higher level of the astral or a level of reality with an even higher frequency than that, but that does not mean it is necessarily from a fifth dimension. Now, the first three dimensions are physical dimensions, length, width, depth, or positions, up, down, back, forth, to and fro. And the fourth dimension is time. So what are they actually claiming the fifth dimension is? Because it's not a measure, it's not a surrogate for spirituality. It's definitely not, this whole thing, a schoolyard competition to see who can claim to be from the highest dimension. What matters is spirituality. So what matters is, does this work for me here and now by making me a more caring person or someone who is more able to make the world a better place? If it doesn't matter what dimension it comes from. It's a load of utter drivel, even if it's true. Take a moment to think about that. Something that is true, like say Einstein's theories or the space-time continuum or an advanced mathematical theorem, those things have their uses, but not in terms of making you or the world a better place spiritually, necessarily. Think also of the damage that has been done historically in the name of religion. I'm thinking particularly of, say, the Crusades, and the harm that has been allowed or caused by dogma and institutions, such as misogyny and child abuse. What the world needs now is not petty, childish squabbles based on, frankly, trite fluff. It needs, and the attempted coup recently in the USA shows this, along with events such as the savage repression in Uganda, Belarus, and elsewhere, is more empathy, emotional competence, and caring. Fancy images or prattling about dimensions is nowhere near as useful as, say, 20 minutes doing loving kindness meditation. And I want to point out that mindfulness is just a prelude to such meditation, not an end in itself. People who are in extreme states of profound dissociation from themselves probably feel that mindfulness is, but that is just a reflection of their spiritual, mental, and emotional unhealthiness. Such people may, of course, well need, however, to focus on mindfulness and thus not be ready for loving kindness meditation. In fact, actually, they could possibly be harmed by trying to get into loving kindness meditation. It's a little bit like the person who's trying to run a marathon with no training. But they can be helped to start on the journey, and mindfulness is great for that, but you need to always keep in mind that it's not the ultimate end goal. On that, in terms of end goals, we in the world's various spiritual groups and movements need to stop competing. We need to start cooperating on getting everyone in the world to be more loving, kind, or at the least empathetic and competent with basic emotions. Wow, I got through all that without swearing. Incidentally, some of the claimed benefits attributed to meditation seem a little, extreme. To put that another way, the sort of insecure desperation of a child on the schoolyard trying to get numbers as a surrogate for proof that something works for them, even if it doesn't work for others. If I'm backed up by Billy Blogs and Mary whatever, it must be true, which is a load of rubbish. There's also a need to recognize that meditation takes many forms. One of my favorites is doing Tai Chi, and I know others who, for example, find gardening meditative. And I think if you did the same sort of surveys and experimentation on them that a lot of people do with formal meditation techniques, you may well find you get the same sort of measurable results from those sorts of exercises. On the other hand, being forced to sit and direct one's mind is not necessarily the best way to meditate. Nevertheless, I consider that meditate one should. So mote it be.